Hi, welcome to everything I know about chronic insomnia. This is a video about chronic insomnia, as you can imagine. I've struggled with this for a great many years, and I wanted to do a video to share what it is I've learned about it and hopefully be able to help you with some of those things, because I think it's a very interesting challenge and maybe something that wider society and medicine and all that hasn't really got a handle on. And in some ways, it's a very modern phenomenon, as we'll get into later. So, yeah, welcome along. I really hope that this is going to give you something just to make it a bit easier, because I know how difficult it can be. And I think, as I say, a great many people and maybe society more broadly do not really have an appreciation of how tough this can be. So, first of all, who is this video for? Well, obviously, it's for anybody suffering with insomnia, but it's specifically for anybody suffering with what I would term chronic insomnia. And that means it's not so much for people who have the occasional bad night or are light sleepers, but basically just get on with their life, and this isn't a big deal for them. This is targeted specifically at people for whom insomnia is sort of the demon in their lives. It is the sort of the all-pervasive, always present aspect that holds them back and causes them a great deal of pain, particularly for people that maybe aren't finding that there's a lot of recognition or understanding of what they're going through, particularly, as I said, from doctors and the medical institution and so forth. So that's who this video is for. I want to say right off the top, and this is kind of implied by my doing this video, but you're not alone. I really do feel your pain. I've been through this. I've had some really tough moments. I'm kind of in a better place these days with it, and that's why I wanted to do this video, because I think I can share some things. Obviously, it's all subjective, and your mileage may vary and all that stuff, but I am in a better place, and I think I can maybe share something that or maybe several things that will help you and you'll be receptive to. But you're not alone. I know what it's like to look around and you think everybody else sleeps perfectly and they're fine and they just go to bed and they get up and they have no scary thoughts about having to be up the next day or go on holiday and stuff. I know what it's like to feel utterly broken, to be in despair, maybe even to feel like it'd be easier if you weren't here, which we'll get into again a bit later. But just know that you're not alone. So that's one purpose of this video. There is hope. I want to get that out right early in this video. There is hope. I know what it's I know what it's like again to feel like there isn't any hope, to just feel utterly broken, as I mentioned, and to not really be met with anything by the medical establishment, other than some short-term pills or something. You go and have like an 8 to 10 minute consultation with a doctor, and they're so busy and they can't really give you the time to really dig into what's behind insomnia. So hopefully we're going to do that today. But there really is hope, however hopeless it feels. I'm going to share some things that for me did lead to some hope being realised, so I hope it can for you as well. Insomnia is an opportunity. I know how angry that might make you. There's been times in my life that if somebody had said that to me, I would have just absolutely hit the roof. But it really is an opportunity, and I say that because, as you may have been told already, insomnia is almost always a symptom of something. It is not an original problem, which is to say that it itself is caused by other things in your life. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying there's nobody out there for whom insomnia is kind of like the base thing going on that doesn't have other causes. Maybe that's true of nobody. I don't know. Certainly, insomnia is not recognised as a thing in and of itself. It's always framed as symptoms of other things, and certainly that's the case for me. However much it felt at times like it wasn't caused by other things, but it was because I was just inherently and physiologically broken. But it really is an opportunity, because we're going to get a chance to look at different things in your life that are contributing to this, some of which you may be aware of, some of which you may not be aware of. And if you can tackle those, insomnia will disappear, by itself. It really will, or at least it will get a lot better than maybe it is right now. So look at insomnia if you can as the low point, but it's really just a messenger that there's things you need to change in your life. Probably. That's how I saw it anyway. However, we're not going to make this a full-time job. I love this quote, full-time job. It's from an Indian philosopher I follow. His name is Sadhguru. Maybe you've seen his videos online. He's got like 10 million followers. We'll get in more into philosophy a bit later. But yeah, I found a lot of what he says very helpful. As I say, we will talk about this kind of stuff a bit later. But he had a video where people shared problems with him, and he highlights how we identify with problems and make them our identity, make them our whole personality. We present ourselves to other people as those problems, and we make it clear to people that we are inhibited by those problems, and essentially it becomes a sort of ego, and therefore, because you've made it your entire being, it becomes a full-time job. And I don't want this to become a full-time job. I know what it's like for sleep to encompass all of your thoughts all day, every day, and for everything you do and consider to be framed in the context of, oh yeah, but what about sleep? Or I can't do that because of sleep. So this doesn't need to be a full-time job. You need to live whilst doing this. If all you do is focus on healing your insomnia, then you just double down on the fear factor and you're not living. So the healing is in the living. It's really important to make that clear. So with all that out of the way, in the following videos, this is what we're going to be covering. Now, some of this will be familiar to you probably. If you've read about insomnia or done your own research, you might look at some of this and go, yeah, I know about sleep hygiene. I know about having a darkened room and everything. Don't worry, I'm going to hit the key points in case some people are not aware of these. But there might also be some things in there that you're not familiar with. And I have some maybe not controversial is the right word, but contrarian views on some of the received wisdom as regards sleep hygiene and other aspects. So stick around for the whole thing if you can, even if some of it does seem a bit familiar by the titles. But yeah, we're going to go through sleep hygiene. We're going to go through coping, because that's the first stage, isn't it? Let's just actually stay alive. Let's see what we can do to just get through this and be safe again. Then we're going to move into the healing. So we first have to become safe, and then when we're safe and the nervous system settles down a bit, we can then turn our attention to healing. And within healing, we're going to look at three main areas. Now, these are not in any particular order, but we're going to look at some philosophy. Now, that might surprise you, especially if you're kind of coming at this from a sort of like, well, I just need some pills, I need medicine for this. You can do that, and we're going to get into meds, as you can see in the second point, meds and resources. We are going to talk about meds, but philosophy has a lot to offer here, because if we can look at our outlook on this and our general attitude to not just insomnia and sleep, but ourselves, and how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself in the world, and how you see your identity as being caught up with insomnia, as I was saying a few moments ago. Trust me, there's some interesting stuff in there, and I will turn you on to a few people who have helped me. One of them I've already mentioned, a guy called Sadhguru, but so that might be a slightly left field part of this healing, but it's going to be, I think, quite useful. And then, as I say, after that, we are going to come to meds and resources. So resources, I mean, any external factors like everything from books to potentially getting therapy and things like that. I've been through all of this, so I can cover quite a lot of ground here. Meds definitely has its place. The received wisdom in a lot of insomnia literature and books is that meds has no place. You don't need the meds. That's just not true. Well, I mean, it may be true for you, but I'm guessing if you're watching this video and you consider yourself to be at a really low ebb and just breaking down with insomnia, then I don't think that is true, but obviously everybody has to make that decision for themselves. So we'll get into meds and that whole area a bit later. And finally, and probably most importantly, is going to be lifestyle and mental health aspects. So the things that you can change or maybe need to change in your life that are probably contributing, if I would say definitely contributing to insomnia right now. Some of which, again, you may be aware of, some of which you may not be. So yeah, that's the plan. Thanks for joining me in this first video. I know this is not a fun use of anybody's time. Nobody wants to be feeling like you do right now if you have been having bad nights, and then having to, not only that, but then having to spend your time watching YouTube about this issue. I know what it's like to have bad nights and then want to do nothing that relates to sleep. You know, you want to get up in the day and just get as far away from the issue of sleep as you can. So the fact that you've tuned into this video and are giving time to this, you can already give yourself a huge well done. But stick with it. I promise it's going to help.